Who are you, really?
It's a big question. Everyone has become a different version of who they were before COVID. I'm sorry about the C word. I really am. But it's true. And we wanted to give you some time to reflect and really be intentional about who you're becoming, so you can feel less fragmented, less fake, less anxious, and more authentic, more fully integrated, more of really who you are.
Imagine that. So we are going to talk today about showing up, how you can show up authentically and whole, all the way who you are, all the time, in every context. Imagine. We're going to talk about control, or the lack of it, and how we experience that, create it, perhaps escape from it.
Janet Jackson song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's my Janet
That's your Janet Jackson.
Sorry, Janet. I obviously.
And we are going to talk about perfectionism and arriving versus the journey and becoming.
Mm-hmm. So stick around with us, because obviously we'll talk about those amazing things, but also at the end, we want to share an exercise that will actually give you access to the advice that you need right now.
Right. So stick around to the end so that you can unlock the advice that you are looking for.
Yes. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready to start?
Let's do it.
So we have been so inspired, of course, by Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and the amazing Netflix, I guess it's a documentary. Documentary, Becoming. And so we wanted to share some of that inspiration with you, and starting with a quote from the fine lady herself.
And so here it is. It's not about being perfect. It's not about where you get yourself in the end. There's power in allowing yourself to be known and heard, in owning your unique story, in using your authentic voice. And there's grace in being willing to know and hear others. This, for me, is how we become.
Man, that Michelle Obama.
She's pretty good.
She's got it going on.
And I would love to just kind of note before we dig into the topics themselves that I felt like there was such a difference between the book Becoming and the documentary Becoming. And you could just see what I'm not going to say she was complaining in the book, but she was lamenting the fact that during all that time running for office, and especially in the White House, she had to conform to certain rules and expectations, and it didn't let her become. Right. It didn't let her be her whole self. And the cool thing I feel like about the documentary is you finally get to see her.
Yes.
In all the coolness that you knew existed the whole time.
Yep.
And now she gets to actually let it out. And in a sense, I guess that's what we're hoping for you, is that we all create these little boxes for ourselves, right? And we think they're imposed on us, and some of them are. But is there a possibility to step outside of them? And can we move beyond in the way that she did to really express our entire selves?
Yeah, we are expressing our shoulders much like she is.
We have good upper arms also, Michelle.
We're inspired by your shoulders, sister. So here we are. Yeah, I do think that on the watching her, reading her is wonderful and amazing. Watching her, I felt this warmth that I think it's in the book, it's present, but it is so much more, I think, authentically her when you really get to see her, especially, and if I'm spoiling it, we'll talk about it later, but when she's with the high school students that she loves and that she's mentoring, it is just like she's radiating this warmth and this love and concern for them and support, right? There's a little bit of like tough love in what she does with them too, which I truly love. So we're gonna we're gonna channel our Michelle Obama in shoulders and in actions and words today. Sending you support and love, and cannot wait to really dig in to a few things. So
let's do it.
You want to start with the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what we would love to ask you to begin to think about, and we're going to be discussing this later, right? But think about what keeps you from showing up all the way. What keeps you from being entirely authentic all the time? And I think we would just share that, you know, working in any workplace, like she worked in an extreme workplace,
right?
Right.
Her whole life was an actual house that she had to be at. Like
exactly.
She was in the box of all boxes.
And she was in the biggest support role of all time.
Right.
Right. So she didn't really get to be herself very explicitly. Most of us aren't in such an extreme circumstance, but many of us feel all these constraints, right? You know, working for a university, I was working with many, many donors who would have totally disagree with my own political beliefs, right? And so I felt that I then had to keep that entire part of myself under wraps. And what I kind of now realize is there would have been a way to show up more authentically, because I'm a very political person, without being at all offensive or in somebody's face. You know, I do that socially all the time, but somehow I felt like I had to keep this whole part of myself secret. I tried to keep an entire piece of my past. I founded a nonprofit around climate and energy, right? But I didn't want anybody to know that because I was afraid it might offend them. Yeah. And I just think my bosses never said that to me. They never said, hey, keep it on the DL.
Right.
I just did it. I self-edited.
Yeah.
And you know, we would love for you to think about all the ways that you do that, because we all do. And sometimes we do it for our spouse or even for our kids, or, you know, the school and how they need us to show up. There are 100 versions of it.
I definitely I struggled so much with the professional versus personal. And I can actually visually demonstrate how divided I was. My office had almost nothing in it.
So true.
Ever, because I was like, oh, this is not my place. You know, I was there for 10 years.
She had one picture on the wall. That was it.
I mean, I was just determined that this is work, and then I go home and I get to be who I actually am. And I know that I made that rule. I know that I created that box, that I had decided that this was the way that I needed to be. And that I know that part of it, I'm sure there was some shame in it, to be honest. Like I felt I came from a small town to a bigger, more fancier university. And when I started, I just felt immediately like on one hand, I felt like this is my place. I belong here. I kind of knew that I got the job in a way, but then when I got there, I didn't feel like I was part of the club. And I always do that though, by the way, in like everything. I think it's just this part of me that's like, I'm too weird. I won't fit in. This isn't my place. And so I kind of always remove myself from fitting in. And that is my own personal box. It's like my own way of protecting myself. You know, it's like, well, if they don't fully know who I am, then I'm kind of safe and I don't have to go all the way in. But then I'm there for 10 years. It's crazy.
Right. And there's crazy. Also a little bit of an assumption there, I think, that is like, well, these people don't really want to know me.
Right.
They don't really want to.
Totally.
And
I do think, I mean, as sometimes I feel like in certain business environments, especially I think in higher ed fundraising where we were, I do think there is this version of over professionalization, right? Where it's like, we are fancy, you know, and like we don't dress down and and I get it because we are dealing with money and we need to be respectable and responsible. And so, but I took that to the extreme where it was kind of like, it's better for me if you just don't know fully who I am, which is sad because,
and it also, it has,
it doesn't let you show up as who you actually are.
Exactly.
So you feel completely divided.
Yeah, you end up bifurcated.
Right.
And so you can't really be your whole self anytime, because there's a part of the professional you that should come home.
That's 8 hours a day or more.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's the part of the personal you that obviously should be at work. So that's not a healthy thing. That's not what we wish for you. Yeah. So we'd love for you to just ask yourself, am I different when I'm at home and at work? What are the things I hide? When do I dim my light down? Who am I trying to make comfortable when I do that? Right? And that's what so much of Michelle Obama's both book and movie have to do with, both for herself and that she's asking other, especially women, about, right? And so think about those things a little bit, because we will definitely be discussing them. And our hope for you, I feel like, we forced ourselves, one of the unintended consequences of that bifurcation and putting yourself in various boxes is that it can make you very regretful. It can make you, what's the word that I want? Resentful. Mm-hmm. You can resent the people that didn't put you in that box. Yeah. And it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you, right? And so it can cause you to make whole moves in your life. Yeah. That may or may not have been necessary.
Yeah, I do think that it's like these rules that you've decided. Yeah. I think about the idea that this is just the way it is. And like, when I'm with these people, I have to be this way. Mm-hmm. And when I go to work, I have to be this way, and I have to present myself this way. And I'm supposed to be like this, and I have to say these kinds of things, but I can't say these kinds. I mean, it really is like, if you think about it, the list in your head of rules that are really, honestly, you have created them. Like, exactly. You've decided those rules, right? And you can undecide them.
Or redecide them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how would it feel? How would you love to show up when you really think about who's the authentic all the way me? Who's the integrated me? The work me and the personal me, the volunteer me, the mom me, all the me's, right? Yeah. And how would that be? How could I show up as that more fully, more integrated, more proud and content and confident and happy? Because that is definitely what we want for you.
Yeah, all the me's, all the you's.
Me.
all the you's combined into one you that is amazing and awesome. Yeah, I do. I like that very much. I think that is a lesson that I am learning every day. I think it is a crazy thing to feel like, when you feel it. And I think what's been amazing is us, I always talk for you.
I'm totally down with that.
When it comes to the business, I can't help it, because we are business partners. So
we're Jancy, in case you wanted to know. Because Nana doesn't really.
No.
It sounds weird.
Nana sounds like like we're grandmas.
Yeah, it's not good.
Jancy is better. Where was I? Wow. I think for this business, there have been so many moments where we've recognized the rules that we have dictated, down to like wardrobe. Like, what mm-hmm. are we wearing? How does it represent who we actually want to be? Mm-hmm. It forces you to decide, like, who are you mm-hmm. really, and how do you show that? And when you show it, I think that the most important part is the unapologetic mm-hmm. piece of it, because once you put yourself out there, I mean, that's the scary part, right? And that's like, when you've decided, I'm going to show up all the way as me, you got to keep doing it over and over. Otherwise, it's too scary.
And I do feel, I agree. And I think one of the biggest things that we've learned, and that the business has helped a ton with, mm-hmm. is that you're right, that some people won't like you.
Yeah.
You're right about that. And that's okay.
I feel like it's that moment in Good Will Hunting where he's like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I think that this is one of those moments where it's true. Like,
and it's better.
Okay to not be liked.
And here's the weirdest thing is that because if you're liked universally, then nobody really knows you, and
Yep.
nobody really likes the real you. And that makes you walk around in the world feeling not as great as you could. And it's actually, what we're learning is better to repel the people that are not your people, but then super like magnetize the people that are.
Tractor beam in.
Yeah,
the
because then
people.
you spend
Yep.
your life with the people who really, really are your people, and who, you know, to be super goofy about it, but who feed your soul,
Yeah.
make you feel happy, make you excited about everything that you do. And so taking that risk, it is a risk, right? Of saying, who am I authentically integrated? Who am I? And then how do I all the way show up as that? It is a risk. It's a risk worth taking, because there's so much happiness on the other side of it, because you feel real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is a big deal. It's a super big deal.
Which I think goes right into our next
yes.
big point that is also a big deal. Control. Onto the
Dun, dun,
let me
dun,
go back to
dun.
my Janet Jackson. If you could see my legs right now. I wish I had the cool hat and she had that
and the
sweet
jacket.
military jacket.
You had a jacket that looked kind of like that.
I do kind of.
She might
next
have to
time.
put that on later.
Next time I will evoke full Janet, and it will be awesome.
It'll be awesome.
Yes.
But control.
Control.
Do you have what is your relationship with control? What is your relationship with control?
Yeah.
Really?
It's, what is your relationship
Mine's
with
not
control?
very good. I'll tell you that.
Share with us. Nancy.
My relationship with control is I would like to have it. I would like to have it at all times, in all situations, over all people, pets, and lawnmowers that are mowing outside. I would like to set the terms. I would like to have a vacation that turns out exactly how I want it. I would like my kids to behave exactly how I think I would feel most, proud and fabulous about. I'm ridiculous. To a very goes way down.
That's your control to do
all
list.
the way down. Yeah.
The control continuum. Nancy is like boop
all the way
off the chart.
And you?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I think that I have a different version that is the same, but that I also like to just throw in a dash of, but I mean, I'm not that needy. I'm pretty actually laid back and cool. And so
whatever you want.
Right. But I actually know exactly what I want to happen. But I'm trying to not be too controlling about it. But I feel it, and I know emanates and radiates, and then eventually just comes out, because, you kind of got to say the truth at some point. Yeah, which is not healthy. It's not a healthy way to be, but it's
pretty natural though.
It's also and is that part? Do you want to share that quote?
Yeah,
because I think this explains so much. Yes,
Miss Michelle Obama again. I'd been taught that self-sufficiency was everything. I'd been raised to handle my own business, but now that seemed almost impossible.
And she's, of course, speaking of being in the White House, right? And we are in the most unexpected time ever. And it seems almost impossible to be completely in control and completely self-sufficient. And I think in my past that is exactly what I was taught was, do not rely on anyone. Do not depend on anyone. Do not trust anyone. They will not be there.
Show up, do your own thing.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Hard.
Super hard. Way harder than everybody.
Get it done. Get it done. And on top of that is the also show up with the happy face that makes people think that it's actually pretty easy. Ugh.
Yeah.
And so all that combined is the constricting. It's this but I have to make the outcome. It is up to me only to make the outcome.
And I would love to, so that do that gesture again.
That
thing. That thing. Do you recognize that? Do you have that?
Mm-hmm.
Because every woman that I personally know does.
Yeah.
Every driven person does. And my question to you is, where does it sit in your body? That thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because for me, it's right here in my chest,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes down here in my gut, and then always these knots in the back of my
Yes.
neck and my shoulders that are like, ah.
Yeah.
And so it's this tightness.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is, of course, is your body telling you, whoa, this is not working out. This is not going well for us. And I feel like what Michelle Obama acknowledges in the book is that, of course, everything's out of her control because everybody else is kind of running her life because she's in the support role, right? For us, I feel there's something incredibly freeing. Okay, COVID has been very stressful, right? And for us, we had just hired the amazing Kelsey, and we had just sat down, the three of us, and done a business model for the year. We were so excited. We knew exactly what we were going to do. We knew how to do it.
It was going to be it.
We knew how to deliver it. We were ready. Yeah. And then this happened. And literally, like we both did separately, because we don't usually share this because we want to freak each other out. Spent like this, terrified about what do we do now. And the good news is we pivoted. We found all different ways to do it. You all have done the same thing. Everyone has. We've all had to recognize that there's so much out of our control right now. And at least speaking for myself, the way that I found my way back to some version of equanimity when I have it is to realize there are only two things actually that I control all the time. All that stuff that I thought I had controlled, it was an illusion anyway, right? It was never real. I couldn't really control all of those crazy variables.
It was a plan and an idea and a goal.
But it wasn't that. So what I realized finally is there are two things I actually can control. They're inside of me, right? And one of them is my actions, and one of them is my attitude.
Attitude and actions. Yeah.
Attitude and actions.
It's a big deal.
That's what you own. That is what you control. And when you get that, it's very liberating because you can kind of let go of the rest of the stuff, which might be a perfect segue.
Are we segueing?
Perhaps.
Okay.
To our last topic, because when we are trying to control things, often it's out of a sense of perfectionism, maybe. Mm-hmm. Here's our question to you. Is this something that is maybe operational in your life? Do you either know, fear, or suspect that you could be a perfectionist or maybe have some perfectionist tendencies? Put differently, are you focused on the goal, the destination, on arriving, right? Or
perhaps, are you focused on the journey and becoming? Something to think about.
It's a big one.
Can I say, as someone who would probably not have claimed to be a perfectionist, who is now a recovering perfectionist, I think back to the whole like, oh, I'm easy breezy, it's no big whoop, I'm laid back. I like to control, and I like to have this sense that I know exactly where I'm going to end up. Mm-hmm. So actually, I think some of that is that I know where I'm not going to end up. I think I maybe have much more of the what not to do playing through my head, where it's like, I don't want to end up there. I don't want to end up there. I just, I want to be the opposite of what I know. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be broke. Those kinds of things that are kind of always moving me toward perfectionism and toward obsessing a little bit about the future instead of being here, being right in the moment and not acting from fear, which is, I think, so much about perfectionism is being scared and is
Somebody's going
anticipating.
to find you out.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Or that you will fail,
Fail.
or that people will see you fail, or see you not in the light that you've been trying to present, right? Because you're showing up on this version and this version and this version, and God forbid they see you in this version, because you've worked hard to create your different levels. And this business, of course, and this journey of Uplift and actually creating and doing and holding the retreat, the one magical time that we've been able to do it, which we will do
We
soon.
will do again.
But even this, being with you, this has helped so much, I think, in overcoming some of that perfectionism, because it's just do it. Just try. Just show up and do it and see what happens. And if you never try, if you never actually just get it out there, you're never going to know what would have happened.
Right. And I think too, it can help so much. I think it has for us to just turn it away from, instead of achievement, because I've always been so my version is different than Jenna's, and mine has always been very, very achieving, and I've had very clear goals, things I wanted to achieve, right? And I drove for them. And I didn't always like where I got, even when I got the thing. I've had 4 totally separate careers, utterly not the same. I just kept wanting new challenge, and I'm going to get there. And then I would get there and I'd be like, dang it, that's not what I wanted. And so be careful of the goals you set, right? Be careful about being so focused on the destination and arriving there, because once you get there, you got to live there. And it might not be where you totally want to be. And so being able to kind of interrogate yourself, explore with yourself, again, who am I really? What is it that I really do want? How do I want to feel at the end of this? How do I want to spend my days? I might want the promotion, but do I want the job?
Yeah.
Right? And I do feel like that part of it is so, so important, but also this notion that you can really become, right? That by taking the steps and by changing it from, I'm going to arrive, I'm going to get there, I'm going to fight through. If you change that to, I'm going to give everything I have to give to whomever is going to benefit. That's how we treated this business. That was our hope for Generous Change, thus the name, right? Because we wanted to show up all the way and give everything we could the best way we knew how.
Yeah.
And we knew it was not going to be perfect because we didn't know what in the world we were doing. And we were willing to take that risk and to learn as we went, and to count on your indulgence and your patience and your wanting to walk there along with us. And being able to give that trust to you and to each other, and to be willing to fail in little ways and large ways, and then find kind of our next step, but all of it from a heartfelt place of who we were becoming, what the business was becoming.
And I think, Nancy, too, that so much of it is just about evolving and evolution. And what I would just kind of add on to some of what I think I have struggled with is not wanting to revisit the past very much because of being super future focused, which is the like getting to the destination. And then which leaves no room for reflection and being intentional. I mean, if it's just all focused on that one goal, then if you don't take a minute to really revisit, is that the goal? Is that even what I actually want? Like you said about, getting the job, getting the promotion, but not even really wanting the job. And I think that really, what becoming to me is about is reflection and evolution, and taking a lot of minutes, many minutes, and giving yourself the space and the people and the places to really assess and think for real. Am I who I really am right now? How am I showing up? What is my relationship with control? How am I focused on the goal versus the journey. Like, these questions are big and important, and you deserve space to actually think about them. So we're super grateful that you're here, giving yourself the space to do it.
And I think maybe that leads to
Yes.
our exercise.
I mean,
today.
the exercise.
Not
the
like exercise. Not like Janet.
We're
We're doing a lot of this today.
Yes.
So we promised at the beginning that we would give you an exercise that would help you to unlock all of the advice that you need. And here's the crazy part. You get to give this advice to yourself before you go away. Hang in there. Here is what we would love for you to do. And we're going to have a download for you so you can go through this. But here's what it is. You are going to visit your future self. Now, I thought this was the stupidest thing in the whole world when I first heard it. And I was like, I can't do any kind of pretend games here. I am not a pretender. I'm a controller. I don't know why we're doing this. But it was a meditation exercise. And because I didn't want to be lame and like leave, I had to do it. And here's what I have to tell you is that I've done it now several times. I just did it the other day before getting ready to talk to you. And it is super powerful. It is, dare I say, transformative. It is comforting. It helps you be more confident.
It's true. And I'm like even less woo-woo than Nancy is. So if I'm like the super cynical. So if I can do it, you can do it.
You can do it.
Yes.
Okay, here's how. So like all the things, you ideally are going to sit someplace quietly and close your eyes and take some deep breaths so that you can just kind of, release all of the crazy of your day and the moment and focus in. And then you are going to imagine your future self, you, some period of time forward. So because I'm a little older, I would probably imagine myself about 10 years from now. Maybe you want to go 20 years, maybe even 30 years. You want to imagine your wisest, most wonderful, most fully amazing self that is coming, that you are becoming, right? Imagine her. See what she looks like. Notice what she's wearing. If she has a scent, she's wearing a perfume, imagine the smell of that. See where she's sitting. Is she in your future home? Is she in a beautiful place that you love to go? Where is she, right? What's she doing? And what's her whole affect? Like, what's her energy? How is she greeting you? What is her face doing, right? See her. Really, really, really see her. And recognize this is me. This is me. It's kind of amazing because I'm just telling you right now, she's gorgeous. She is like all of the goodness that is you, even more, right?
Can I imagine my future self as Janet?
No, you may not.
Okay, I won't.
I'm sorry, no.
All right, revisit.
Your future self is even cooler than that, Jenna. Okay.
But she's in a cool military jacket.
Yes, by all means. She can wear whatever you want. Okay, so you see her, right? And then you're just walking toward her. She's coming toward you, and you're meeting. And this is your opportunity to simply say, I'm so happy to see you. I need your help. This is a really weird, rough time. And here's what I'm struggling with. This COVID thing, I'm afraid. I'm anxious. I'm not sleeping very well. I don't know where my job is going. I don't know what's happening next. My marriage is struggling. Whatever it is, my kids are having such a hard time. I don't know how to help them. I'm just, right? What do I do? And here's the crazy part of all of this. She will tell you. She will give you what you need. She will comfort you. She will love you. She will tell you that it's going to be all right. And all of that, the amazing, magical thing about that. So you just sit and you have a conversation with your future self. You say what you're struggling with. She responds. You can say more. She can say more until you're done. And then just take a deep breath and open your eyes. And if it's me, I cried a little, got a little teary. What's amazing about this is if you have a hard time, as I contend to, with like self-love, if that's not really your jam, I was not raised in a self-loving family. I was raised in a go do something family. And so when somebody says,
Stop
you
crying
should,
about it.
exactly, get over it, suck it up, move on. And so when somebody says you should love yourself, I'm like, whatever, I don't even know, right? This is the most amazing, beautiful, transformative exercise because your future self is just you, of course, right? You're creating her in your mind. This is you in the most profound way, showing up for yourself, loving yourself, giving yourself the guidance that you have within you. You already know the answers that you need to know, and you can, in fact, give them to yourself. So we want to suggest that you give this a shot because it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And it you'll feel better.
If also you know any other amazing woman who could benefit from any of this, from the ideas, from that exercise, please share this with that amazing woman because we are building a community of uplift here. So we want all amazing women to be a part of it. We're so crazy grateful for you. Thank you so much for being with us. And we will see you next time.
See you soon.